great today. So we've got a video just to sort of kick things off, which will really help establish hopefully more of an understanding as to why percussive therapy came to be in the beginning. So we've got a 5-minute message from our founder. We'll run this clip and then we're going to get into some really cool insights from Charlie here, who's really done a stellar job of integrating percussive therapy on the gym floor, working with various different members, and now starting to gravitate into, hey, what does a recovery space look like on the gym floor? So we'll really try and get into that for you guys today. So I'll run this clip and then we'll take things forward from there.
They say necessity is the mother of invention, and my need at that time was, in 2007, I was getting ready to go to one of my last exams at chiropractic school, and I jumped on my bike, and I was splitting traffic, and a car realized that it was going the wrong direction and cut me off on the freeway, and I was going 55 splitting traffic, and I slammed in the side of this car. My soft tissue damage really didn't set in until Christmas of that year, and I just started a practice with a buddy of mine here in LA. I was stuck and I was in pain. I didn't care what this thing was that was going to fix me. I just wanted the pain to go away. Sitting in my apartment, and I thought, you know what, I need something stronger. I need something that just punches that area. And just by me sort of thinking that, I thought, I have a tool out there. I could probably make one. So went out and I grabbed 2 or 3 tools and I brought them in and I set them on my coffee table, and I just started messing around with it. And I found that this thing worked. I could suddenly now get in the shower for 10 or 15 minutes and do what I needed to. I could eat. I hadn't slept for over 40 days at this time. A solid night's sleep from the pain, using it for pain, and then using it for rehab, and then using it for helping my muscles build over time. Not understanding really, but I was sort of the first patient. And with my education as a chiropractor, and then applying the science to myself, I didn't realize it, but this was being ingrained into my knowledge about what this does. Over time, between 2008 and 2011, I created 4 different versions of this same technology. And I felt an enormous obligation to figure this out, to find out why this was working. In 2011, I created what was my first real tool that I'd taken apart, welded pieces on, put them back together on a larger scale. I did 250 of them. In 2014, I flew to Boston and met with the New England Patriots in their hotel before the preseason. And the guy that called me said, hey, just bring as many as you can bring. And I could bring 22. I fit them in these 2 bags, carry-on bags, showed up at the hotel, unzipped these bags, and as fast as I could take cash and hand out a Theragun, I was handing out a Theragun. I ended up taking it with me on the road. I treated a bunch of NASCAR guys. I treated other professional athletes with this crazy thing, just sort of dabbling it into my normal treatments. I consider it a mission of mine to make sure that everyone that even is interested in a product like this understands what I've gone through as a clinician, what I've gone through as sort of the developer of this product, and what we've done as a company. I have dozens of physicians, body workers, physical therapists, chiropractors around the world who say to me, this changed the way I practice. For you to be able to have something you can reach out to, grab a hold of, fix yourself, take away the pain, increase your range of motion, give you better activities of daily living, spend more time with your kids, grandkids, hiking, whatever it is. That's literally what we're trying to do. There's 3 things that I learned through this process that makes this work. And it's frequency, amplitude, and torque. And the combination of those 3 things is what Theragun offers that makes it so special. We have 12 years of experience. What we want is for people to feel trust in this product. To trust the product, you have to have education. You have to know what this is. And to be able to understand what this is, you have to go with someone that knows what they're talking about. And there's no one that knows better what they're talking about, quite frankly, than Theragun and myself, because I've been doing this longer than anyone I know, anyone I've met. I've been to a lot of places on this earth. Where we're at today is way beyond what I could have ever imagined. I think it's really important that people understand that, you know, that first product was a representation of desperation. Like, I needed something and I didn't care what it was. Theragun's future is to continue along the path that we are now. We are driven by science and research, education. We're constantly innovating. Our goal is to keep people pain-free, to keep people moving. And the last time I checked, we're not in every hand in the world, so we got a lot of work to do.
That's why we need Charlie, right? So you can get hooked up, dude, into the pneumatic compression. Thank you for watching that, guys. I think what's really important for us as a brand is that people understand the intention behind percussive therapy and the reason why the massage gun space has started to sort of prominently feature throughout the UK landscape. I think the key takeaways out of that message is that this came through somebody's single-handed necessity to overcome musculoskeletal pain. And so when you just think about that, when you just think about one person's intention to initially overcome their own discomfort, and the blessing of Theragun was that the healer found himself in an incredible state of adversity. So with Dr. Jason's knowledge and his understanding of the body, that's where it was born and how it was initially created. The success of percussive therapy has helped us realize that there's a little bit more that we might be able to do within the space of recovery technology. And so that's kind of what we're seeing here now. And I'll just come on to this slide here with the evolution of Therabody and how the ecosystem's evolving. So, are you good there, dude? You want to, you hooked up okay? Yeah, so if we just hit play here, come back a bit, perfect. So Charlie's got pneumatic compression on here, and what we've realized as a brand is that it's great to have a targeted solution and a local solution. So when we think about targeted and local, we have Theragun, and targeted meaning the tissue underneath the attachment. We're targeting different areas of the body. But what we've now realized is that there's room for a global solution, so the entire limb. So for the very first time, we're actually able to say we can treat the entire limb and have an entire lower body global therapeutic effect. So this idea of Charlie could be speaking to his pals now, he might be on a Zoom call, he could be reading a Kindle, he could be studying recovery technology. This concept of how can members engage and be involved in other aspects of wellness, even a conversation for people right now, right? Human interaction could be incredibly valuable for people in terms of accessing different dimensions of wellness. With Theragun, this is an active solution. We're moving, we're active. We can't really engage in any other activity. But what's interesting with pneumatic compression is that we can get involved in different activities. So I think the idea of today is just to give you an idea of what this looks like in your space. But I'd just like to sort of turn to you, Charlie, and just to kind of bring it back to percussive therapy. I think Dr. Jason makes a lot of really cool points around, we've got a lot of work to do, right? We want people to have access to this. We want them to have an opportunity to experience handheld relief. What could that mean to people? I think now more than ever, the UK alone is super stressed out, right? We're all super stressed. I'm stressed. We're seeing and feeling that. We're all experiencing and doing too many minutes on Zoom. So just for you to be able to talk about how you've integrated this with some of your members.
Yes, certainly from me with the members that we have in our facility, that we're looking at sort of very typical stressed businessmen and women that are coming in, maybe not exercise is their priority to them at this current time, and sort of with the education that we offer from a health and wellness point of view, that we were really looking for other strategies to support with that. And for those of you that are working sort of directly with clients, that how many of them may turn up late and you're trying to get them to go through sort of your traditional trigger point therapies, sort of whether you're using foam rollers or trigger point balls and things like that, and it can be very painful to some of them. It can be very time consuming for some of them, and you're limited to an hour with these people. That certainly for us, that we found that it's a far more comfortable strategy for them to use and for them to come in and they're able to, as a coach, you're able to get on top of their time and really get the benefit from, certainly for me with the percussive therapy with the guns, that I know I can get a specific targeted warm-up with a client where when they're coming in, if we're going through squats or things like that, I'm able to get into their glutes, into their hips and really target the areas I need for that session within the time constraints that I have, and really they can reap the benefits of that. So certainly originally for me, I suppose, in terms of looking at it more so from, I could get them in, I could get them warmed up, and I could get them out of a session through recovery really easy. But sort of, I did some training with your guys, and now from sort of a muscular activation point of view, and whether I'm working with one of my clients with disabilities or whether I'm working with one of my clients that's looking for performance goals, it's something that I can target all of these people and help them and certainly sort of benefit them and their well-being ultimately.
That's awesome, dude. And I think, how good is this, by the way? We should do all of our talks like this. So you mentioned education. I think education is central to the Therabody brand, right? We feel an enormous obligation to make sure that people are properly informed in regards to the correct use and implementation of percussive therapy, whether that's with you or a member of your amazing team, or whether it's in the comfort of their own lounge room, right? So how do we achieve that? So I think what's been important for us is, hey, really looking at the question, what are we actually trying to achieve here? And the answer to that for us is scalable behavior change. So how do we create Dr. Jason in your pocket in the form of the digital domain? We've been able to achieve that. We've got a fantastic app. We're really proud of that. But what's quite uplifting for me is that the experience that the customer has in our app is actually a reflection of our professional education experiences as well and Therabody University, right? So we've become a global innovator in recovery technology. We will only ever enter a category if we feel that we can dramatically enhance the technology, right, and the innovation behind that. We're going to touch on our innovation cycle as well. But how important is having the education and not just the amazing source of technology? If you can kind of speak more to that education experience.
Yeah, I think for me, ultimately firsthand, that we've been working with you guys for a little while, and that sort of due to the current restrictions and everything else, it took us some time to get the education on board and the support that you guys have given us through it, that certainly me and my guys learnt, even from the limited time that we had with it, that we learnt so much in terms of, again, like I briefly went on to with the muscular activation side of it beforehand, that we spent sort of potentially an hour where even how to hold the guns properly, how to float them in terms of whether we're crossing the muscle bed or going along with it, that to get sort of the true activation principles targeted towards the muscles. That I've currently been working with a guy he's a severe disability, he broke his neck, and he's got limited use in his arms, and I wanted to sort of lean on that and the education that your guys gave us, and we went through some activation strategies around it, and even from toying around with some of the ideas, the strength gain that he had from set to set was remarkable, really, and it's something that's just since following on for those education stuff, that it's been food for thought for me to take with people, and again, sort of educating on people around, you haven't got to hammer with the gun, it hasn't got to be painful, that you are going to get more benefit from floating the gun over, and then the members genuinely see the benefit straight away from that they're feeling stronger through the next set, or straight away they're getting that recovery process after the session, that things like that you've developed into the other areas, that it will only benefit their performance.
No, I think that's really cool, and I think some of the things you're alluding to there are our 365 methodology, which is a really simple module that we apply for health club owners and personal trainers just to immediately adopt for themselves and for their clients. So the education aspect, absolutely sort of critical to unlocking greater potential within the technology. So you've mentioned sort of there's different ways to use these technologies for activation. There's different ways to use them in between sets and reps, right? And then also for the recovery aspect afterwards. I think what's important is that guys like yourself in local communities are really becoming and establishing themselves as not only being informed on percussive therapy, right, and theraguns, but also having a wider appreciation for, hey, what does recovery actually mean, right? And what are some of these other recovery technologies available to people that they can use whenever and wherever they might need to? So if you can just kind of talk to what seems to be sort of the natural progression for your members. You obviously start to implement it with them in sessions, right? It's an interesting piece of technology, right? People need to take some time to develop a relationship with it. They see the effect, and then what's kind of the after effect? What are people saying to you once they're experiencing the benefit in the session?
So I think hugely for me with that side of it, that around educating people on the benefits of percussive therapy and the guns and everything around recovery, that especially with the current year that we've just had, that stress is a huge factor on a lot of people, and like a large portion of my client base are busy businessmen and women that they're sat at a desk all day, they're coming in, we are essentially the 1 hour a day that they're looking after their own health, and that educating them around sort of the whole wellness package and everything, that there's more to it than just coming in and being beasted in the gym for an hour and going away and feeling sore, that you don't have to feel sore, you can feel good after a gym session, and that educating them sort of that with the guns, that if they really want to reap the benefits through, whether it's mobility, flexibility, strength, that they can take these tools away. Yes, we've got the pros on site, but it's sort of there are other options available for them to take home with them and continue that for the other 23 hours a day that they've got, and really benefit their health, their wellness, and everything around their lives.
So we've obviously, people understand we're super focused on education. How did the retail aspect come sort of for you guys, and how did you go about implementing that? Obviously, as a brand, we're really sensitive to space that people have, right? They're not a warehouse. Some people prefer like the drop shipping option, things of that nature. Therabody Network, which is a great platform to distribute codes via personal trainers. What did that look like, though, in terms of the process of holding stock on site, and what have been the advantages of that, honestly, that you can kind of speak to with your insight on the gym floor?
So I think certainly for me, as you mentioned, we hold stock on site. So our members get to go out, they get to go and experience the guns, they're going to get to go and sort of use it and get first-hand experience of what it does and the benefits of it. Then from there, it's kind of organically happened for us, that we don't feel the need to push Theragun or Therabody and the products around it. Like you mentioned before, you've got your app as well, that sort of everything that we can build into it, that we can showcase that within a session. And if a member chooses to go and do it, they'll naturally go and do it. And with the stock on site, that we hold limited stock of each of the guns that you've got. And depending on their budget or how often they want to use it, there's something in there for them. It's not something we hugely push in terms of, we're not a salesy business, that we're just there to benefit and service our members, and that it's something that I feel is important for my own fitness journey and my own sort of, I play rugby myself and I don't want to come off of a pitch feeling really sore, so it's something that I use one. Why wouldn't I want my members to use one? Why wouldn't I want my clients to go away and have the benefits that I have myself?
Totally, and I think just bouncing back and forth between some of these slides, so just so people gain a comprehensive understanding into who Therabody are now. So we have Theragun Percussive Therapy, which is rapid and repetitive pressure on the body. It's combining a source of pressure and vibration, and we learnt that the effect of combining those simultaneously was more efficient and more effective for the body. We've got pneumatic compression. Pneumatic is just the fancy word for air, and compression is normally self-explanatory for people. There's varying distinguishing and differentiating factors in our technology that we're happy to talk to you guys about in more detail. We're also using the Wave series, and when we looked at rolling experiences, most of us in this room have been on a foam roller at some point in our lives, and just understanding the painful nature of that. How can we mitigate that? How can we modulate that further? What does Dr. Jason have to say about that in terms of his intent as the founder, using new technologies on real people with real pain on the treatment table? What's the science behind this? You know, could we add vibration to a source of directly targeted constant pressure to achieve a better effect on the body? So we added vibration. We think a lot about the texture of the materials making contact with the body as well. And then also the hygienic aspect. I think now more than ever, hygiene is super important. And that's true for the garments that we have as well. So there's many distinguishing factors there that really help from a hygienic standpoint. CBD and Thera1 will come in 2022. We're really going to educate the entire landscape on the fundamental nature of CBD and why that's important as part of a wellness journey. And it won't be about Thera1. It'll be about the fundamentals of CBD and educating people on the fact that we even have an endocannabinoid system. I think that's really important. PowerDot is a recent acquisition. That's electrical muscle stimulation. It's a really sleek, portable design. One of the driving factors for our innovation is how do we constantly increase the versatility and the portability of the modality? And PowerDot really speaks to that. We didn't want to give people another sort of product to hold alongside their mobile phone. The thought process was, how do we integrate an algorithm into the mobile phone where people are already kind of dedicating their attention? So we constantly think through this process of how do we empower people to take a better care of their system, and the ecosystem and the evolution of Therabody is really a reflection of that. We really enjoy talking about the journey of percussive therapy. There was a moment in time where you had to press a button on the device in order for it to turn on. And I think some of you in the room, I can see some smiles, identify that it was incredibly loud at one point in time. We've worked hard on that. We're really proud of our Quiet Force technology to help us overcome the noise levels without sacrificing the performance. And now we've reached the point where we can press a button on an app and the device turns on, and we've got immediate access to that education, just the same as Dr. Jason would kind of prescribe to us if he was here in the room teaching us about percussive therapy. So I think as we sort of move forward, Reset is really our North Star. I like to describe it as our wellness sanctuary. We include things like intravenous therapy and red light therapy, but this is just to articulate that we're really focused on the next level of recovery technology and constantly playing in that space. But then how do we work on a ground level and help this make sense for people in their environment? And the guys, Marcus and Luke here, are here to talk to you. They're dedicated to the health club landscape, and they can have those direct conversations with you in regards to how this might look in your space. So I think what's kind of important here is to also edify Matt as well in his journey. Do you want to speak to sort of how you guys think about recovery internally and kind of the input that he's had on that in shaping that and the importance of that?
Yeah, so I think Matt, our CEO, he's spent the last 20 years, whether it's traveling to America, sort of going through to sort of the biohacking conferences and things like that, to really look deep into the wellness side of the industry. We've got Reformer Pilates on site, and in terms of our whole wellness package, and certainly from a recovery point of view, that through the stresses that our clients have got, that we want to create these sort of safe spaces where they can interact with one another if they want to, if not, if they just want to come in quietly, use such equipment, sort of state-of-the-art equipment that they know is going to benefit them, and they'll take sort of my trust and understanding of my research on the areas, and in terms of they see it firsthand within sessions and the education we offer. And like you said, the app is so simple to use.
Sorry to do that. I think you just touched on a really important point though, a safe space, right? And when we think about Reset and these environments, which are incredible, and you can have cryotherapy and red light therapy, and you can have pneumatic compression and an infrared light facial at the same time with sound therapy, you can have, a glorious menu of options. But we should equally celebrate the safety and the comfort and the amazing feeling that goes with just creating space for people. I think that's just so important. People are looking for that space at the moment. We're locked in, right? We've spent a lot of time in the same environment. I know it's been difficult for so many people, me in particular. I'm constantly bellowing over my fiance on Zoom calls. We're competing for space. It's difficult, right? So I think that's really quite wonderful that you guys are creating that space, and something that we should all celebrate, right? If somebody takes 5 minutes to breathe, right, and work on their hamstrings with a foam roller, then that's fantastic. That's their version of reset, right? We should absolutely empower that.
I think absolutely you massively touched on it there, that sort of, I can only really speak for my own direct client base with it, that they lead such busy lives and that their own health and wellness is always such an afterthought to them, that they're just constantly, whether it's rushing from one meeting and it's all been sort of tucked away within their own little bubbles and they haven't communicated with other people, that we all know the benefits of just taking 5 minutes to yourself more than anything, but the fact that sort of on site they have all of the other benefits that we can add to them in this environment where it's comfortable. If they want to nod off and go to sleep because it's the only chance they've got, they've had a poor night's sleep, and again through the course that we did with you guys and going through that sweep, that it was major, and it's been massive for a couple of my clients anyway, but to create them a space where it's specifically designed for that for our members, if they want to come in, use that and go off to work, they can crack on. For us, it's massively important. Certainly for Matt, it's been a huge sort of, he's gone through the industry where we all sort of start off with the focuses around sort of going to get big or ripped or shredded or the rest of it, but there's so much more to health and wellness, and it's something that certainly through Matt, sort of the CEO, that he's kept such a focus on that and his real passion for it, that's spread down amongst us, and it's really easy to push our members that way then, because we're all so passionate about it. And I mean, these are great, so it's nice and comfortable. So if people can feel the benefit, they're gonna go for it, and it's massive for their development. It's massive for their stress levels, and I see it firsthand on a daily basis in terms of that recovery element and bringing it in, partly with sort of all of the benefits of the gym and everything included with it. So yeah, it's going to be huge.
Well, thanks for this, Charlie. And you mentioned social wellness. This has been incredibly beneficial for my social wellness. I can't remember having a conversation with somebody. And you also referenced the signature sweep. So some people might not know what the sweep means. It's an experience with 2 Theraguns. It's incredible. It's the way that Dr. Jason communicated for a very long time to people to understand percussive therapy, and we still do it to this day. So everyone in this room is guaranteed a sweep from me or a member of the team before you leave today. But let's let Charlie speak here, okay? Because I think Charlie's been an incredible testament to being a leader in this community around recovery, and he's got some thoughts here around the future within MK and independent gym spaces in particular.
I first started using Theragun way back in 2016 when I was working on the tennis circuit. So at the time I was working with the men's world #1 doubles players, Mike and Bob Bryan, who I'd worked with for a number of years. And these guys were at the top of the game, but they were probably, at the time, they were probably about mid-30s. So even though I was there as their sort of S&C coach, I was there for nutrition, there for everything from physiotherapy, the whole thing, these guys were becoming more and more aware of the need for recovery. You know, they were starting to realise that that can be the difference between giving them those extra few years. And they were having ice baths, they were having regular massage sessions. And at 2016 at Wimbledon, Mike pulls out this really strange looking gun, which didn't look like this. It was the G1, it was the first range. He pulls it out, it looks like this futuristic gun. And we start using it, he was swearing by it. And the difference for me, when I was using it on not just him, but myself, I was hooked. So we were using it not just for training, I was also using it for with the boys before they went out to play the games, before they went out to play the matches. And it was just such a difference. It was so easy to use. And I tried different things in the past, but I've got to say with Theragun, it was like, these guys have got it right. you can actually instantly see the difference with the tissue. So after the tournament finished, I went back to MK Health Hub. I spoke to my team and I was like, we've got to get these guns into the hub. We've got to get them in for our everyday clients, because if one thing we all know, guys who work in gyms, the thing people struggle with is basically the warm-ups that they neglect and the recovery. And this was an instant way, rather than lying on a foam roller all over the gym floor, they can come in, it's a lovely experience, they grab a gun, have a little bit of a, you know, either legs, hips, upper back, shoulders, and the results are instant. How they feel is completely different. And we hadn't intended to sell Therabody Theraguns, we just wanted it there to be the difference between what the big box gyms are offering and the experience our clients were getting. But in the end, it became quite a big retail thing, because anyone that was using it was like, I need one for home, I need one for the other 23 hours of the day. What a difference it's making to them. So off the back of that, we could also see that the whole thing within health and wellness, particularly at the time I was going out to the States quite a bit and looking at what was happening, everything's shifting. So movement will always be a key part of what we all do. But actually, as independent gym owners, we've got to be providing more than just the movement side. The equipment, the training is really important, but so is the recovery, so is the experience. And having Theraguns in our hubs for people to come in and use sets us apart. You know, having them as a recovery partner to the MK brand is something I'm really happy and proud to do, and looking forward to evolving it. We're probably going to, as we open more MKs in the future, we're going to look at having more of a recovery area that people can come and truly, you know, maximise their warm-ups and their recovery, using these guns, using compression, you know, you having a stretch off, huge difference to the whole experience.
Well, thanks very much, Charlie. And I think if people are curious around seeing what this might look like on the gym floor, if it's okay that we're just down here, right, 100 yards away. So people are more than welcome to go down and have a quick peek at some point throughout the day. Thank you for doing this. And thank you guys for listening in. We have a sincere desire to truly help people feel better. So I look forward to chatting with you guys each individually throughout the day. And thanks very much. Appreciate it.